All right. Welcome, one and all, to the Off the Rail Sports Podcast. I'm John, and if you could kindly hit that like and subscribe button. I am here with the host with the most, Scott. How you doing today, buddy?
USA, USA. The conclave, we came in strong. We had a lot of delegates in the conclave. America was representing the Pope. We got it. Woo!
I never thought we'd see that.
Woo!
I never thought we'd see it, but it's funny. The first day, everybody talks about the Pope and how great he is, and he's American. And then I see starting stuff to roll out on the New York Times this morning about the abuse allegations that maybe he covered up. Yeah, I'm sure this is going to go real well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's see how
yeah,
that works out, right?
yeah. They are worried about what he was.
Honeymoon's over.
Yeah,
Honeymoon's over, kid.
what could have been happening in Portugal, right? Isn't that where he came from? He was American born and went to Portugal. Is that where he
No,
was
he
stationed?
went to Peru.
Peru. Oh,
Peru.
whatever.
Yeah,
It has a
it
P in
starts with
it.
a P. Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Right? Yeah.
hey. I mean,
Oxitani Phil. Yeah.
he's Roberto. Now he's Luis the 14th. It's like they hide him as fast as they can. Rename him. You know,
Rename him. Don't know
but
this guy.
hey, but the over under, I gave it to Jay. I said it was going to be 3 days or less, and he took the under, and he got it right.
Mm.
Cash that ticket in, Jay.
Yeah, yeah. That's about as close to a winner as I've come in the last couple of months, Scott. I'm still hurting after the Kentucky Derby, but what are you gonna
Ah,
do, right?
uh,
Right?
are you hurting like the Vegas Knights?
What?
Are
What's
you
that?
hurt? Are you hurting like the Vegas Knights?
No, well, no, I'm not. I don't have. I had Colorado. You
I
got
know.
Edmonton. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I got Edmonton. I'm over here trying to vote. I'm not the Knights to win because they're an American team, but then it's like I got money on Edmonton. I got to get the win.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly, exactly.
I,
It's about cashing the ticket, right?
you know, a half an inch inside that pole is
Yep,
why it deflected in.
yep.
I mean, once again, we're looking at let's score first and sit on a lead. Like you can't do that with Edmonton.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. One of
Go
the
for it.
greatest boxers of all time was Marvin Hagler. And he was that guy. I mean, everybody remembers him for that classic Tommy Hearns fight. But one of the things Marvin Hagler said is, I need to get punched in the face a couple times before I get going.
Yeah,
And I think Edmonton is kind of like that. They got to get down and then they go, okay, it's time to go. They
yeah,
just, for whatever reason it is, a hangover from last year or whatever it is. But you know what? They find the way to get it done.
yeah,
And,
yeah. They
and so
do.
what are you going to say? The proof's in the pudding. I mean, look, at the end
They're,
of the day, it's box score. It's the
yeah,
scoreboard, right?
yeah. I mean, they're wearing you out. Like we've talked about this a million times. Like when you're playing against the elite team, elite athletes, and you're having to play perfection all the time, you get worn out eventually. And then
Sure.
guess what? There's the break, and then here comes McDavid down the side, Drysdale on the left. Uh, you know, let's just. It was a beautiful shot, beautiful goal. I mean, it was a great game. Washington whipped up 3-1 on the Canes. That's going to be a good series.
The Canes dominated the first game,
Yeah,
and Washington came back, and it was 2-1 going into the third period. They got the empty net goal, but I gotta say, I think the Canes are going to win that series. I
yeah,
think their defense is a little too much for what Washington brings to the table, but. I think Ovechkin, I think a lot of that is the hangover from the record, all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah,
And, even though he really shouldn't have the record, you know what I mean? But that's
yeah.
another discussion.
Hey,
Wayne
hey,
Gretzky should still, actually, the record is Gordie Howe because
yeah,
they should count those goals in the WHL. Wayne Gretzky played for a year in the WHL. I mean,
yeah,
they have many teams from the WHL. I think they've won 9 cups. Teams that were in the WHL who migrated to the NHL.
yep.
Edmonton had 5, whatever. At the end of the day, if they want to call it a record, if they don't, I don't really care. Ovechkin is great, whatever. Um,
Hey, at least they ain't juicing like baseball. Okay.
wow.
Hey, I'm just saying, you don't hear about no towels coming in and accidentally getting you know, little rub on the arm there. Barry Bonds. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I want to see. I want to see if those sticks are hollowed out. Right? If they're corked, are they using cork sticks?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and let's get back to the Edmonton game. It was a great game. I mean,
It
it was
was.
really, really good game. There was a almost goal at the end of the third period where they had an open net, hit the crossbar, and flicked out, which I was
Yep.
like, oh my god, who does that? But once again, let's get back to Jay's. Let's hold on. I'm going to beat the horse. Beat the
Uh-oh.
horse.
Get the
You know,
soapbox.
we get a 5 minute major because they high stick him in the face. The guy's on the
Wow.
on the ice. There's blood. Nobody checks for a concussion. Is that and nobody talks about it on
Hey,
ESPN.
it was
Uh,
the jaw, Jay. It wasn't by the brain. It was the
yeah,
jaw.
you're right.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come
What was
on.
I
Come on.
thinking? What
What
was I
anatomy
thinking?
class did you go to? Come on. Come
I
on.
I thought the whole skull was connected together, but what was I thinking?
Hey,
Right?
hey, hey, hey.
I'm just
This is
saying.
this is a real man sport, okay?
Yeah, I know. So's boxing.
Yeah.
And of course I got a punch in the side of the head. I got to see yesterday one of my favorite boxers of all time, Manny Pacquiao, at 46, eight-time world champ, coming back to boxing to fight in July. Can you say I need money? Nobody says I need money better than former boxers. Hey, Mike Tyson,
Oh,
how you doing against Jake Paul? And you know what? I'm glad for Mike Tyson. Make the money, whatever. But really, Manny Pacquiao is fighting a world champion. He ain't fighting some guy who comes out of a
nope.
CrossFit class.
Nope.
He's
That's
fighting
part
a guy who can
yeah.
hurt him.
Yeah, that's part ego too. Let's get that straight.
Yes, ego, but let's be
Yeah,
honest. The money,
yeah,
the money
it's
is
about
the
the
big thing.
cheese. Show me
Yeah,
the money,
the
it's
one
almost like a
guy, the one guy who I thought it was really ego driven back in the day was Sugar Ray Leonard. He'd always come back, every 2 or 3 years, and it's because he wanted the lights. He didn't need the
yeah.
money. He wanted the lights, and hey, you've earned that cachet. You can do what you want. But man, it just drives me
Yeah.
crazy.
One
Oh
of the smartest boxers was the Golden Boy,
yeah,
Oscar De La Hoya. I
yeah, he
mean,
was
he's
a
not the
smart guy.
yeah, he knew how to branch out, knew how to keep his money coming in.
Now he's a huge promoter in the sport,
Yeah.
right?
Golden Boy Entertainment, right?
Hey, who
Is
cares if he cross dresses in a New York penthouse? I don't really
hey,
care.
hey,
Hey, hey,
pump
hey,
the
have
brakes.
another
Hey,
drink. Just
hey,
take an Uber. Take an
keep
Uber, De La Hoya.
hey, you got that blue hat on. Be careful,
I
right?
do. So
Uh,
yesterday, now ESPN is pushing this bullshit about now. When I was watching the game on the Kings and Edmonton and the Vegas Knights, they say this is the hardest trophy to win in all of sports. Okay,
well,
that's their new thing. Scott, let's just start out. Do you
uh,
agree with that?
I agree 100%, 100%.
Absolutely incorrect.
Oh,
Absolutely
wow,
incorrect.
wow, you're so wrong. You got to have speed, technique, you got to have durability, you got to be strong. Hey, what's better than that? You're on. Oh, all right, here we go. Here we
Tell me
go.
it's harder than the World Cup.
Oh, it's way harder than World Cup.
Oh my
World Cup.
God.
What? Hey,
Oh
the
my
world,
God.
the World Cup. You're on your feet on grass. You're not trying to balance on ice and being sprinting
It takes 3 years to win a World Cup. Okay,
because it only shows up. It only shows up every 3 to 4 years.
I understand that. That's
Yeah.
why it's harder. You don't get a
Well,
chance every year.
then let's just say the Olympics.
Well,
The
but
Olymp.
that's not. I mean, look, you're right. The Olympics can be the same thing too. But at the end of the day, most of the team sports in the Olympics, they go back to other teams, right? And the same thing with the World Cup. But
Yeah.
at the
I
end
mean,
of the day, okay,
I get it. I get it. You got your own people. That you got all your Americans. You got all your Perus. You got all your Italy people. That it's
we call
homegrown.
them Italians. Yes,
Yeah, I know. Hey, politically, got to be politically correct on this show.
I'm just
Okay,
saying what they're
okay,
called.
okay. Long live and
Americans
prosper.
aren't the people in America. They're called Americans. Okay,
Well, are
continue.
they? Are they? I mean, you live in America. You got black and you got
I'm getting
Latino
rolled up by
American.
security here,
I know,
Scott. Come
I know,
on,
I know.
man.
Come on, hey, we're off the rails podcast. Tell
Yes.
them like and subscribe. We'll move
Yeah,
to
I
a new
like it. I
location.
love it. God, you're the best. You're the best. Okay, let's. Obviously, I'm correct, but you don't want to admit it. God bless you. I
Hey,
love the
hey,
back and forth.
hey, hey.
But at the end of the day, in American sports, let's just call it what they really should have called it. Do you think the Stanley Cup is the hardest one to win?
I do. I do. I really think you got so many things. Like if you do look at the Olympics, there's a gold medal for figure skating. There's a gold medal for, you know, punching a ball. There's, they have like five sports broken into one sport, hockey. That's what hockey is. It's
Okay.
five sports in one.
Huh. I think hockey is the most exciting playoffs. I personally think baseball is the harder one. They get less teams
Um,
into the playoffs. Okay, okay, okay,
yeah.
okay, okay, okay.
I mean, I love all sports. So yeah,
I do too. No, no, no.
if you want to bring it, yeah,
I'm not diminishing hockey.
yeah,
I have
yeah,
said on this
yeah,
podcast, and you have too, that I think it is the most exciting postseason of any major sport.
yeah,
Now, in terms of winning it, I'm going to just say my personal opinion is baseball is harder. Look, the Dodgers have been the best team in baseball for 10 years. They only have two titles. A
true,
lot of things happen on the way to the prom, right?
true, true.
You know, I
It's
mean, look,
true.
yeah, I think the NFL is the easiest
Yeah,
because, like we saw, like you see, it's either a one or two seed always gets to the Super Bowl. I
yeah,
mean, that's just what it is, right?
yeah. I mean, they're only really colliding into each other for like 30 seconds, and then they're sitting there waiting.
Yeah, well, it is a violent sport, but
It is
okay.
violent. It is violent. I'm
Uh,
not discollating. I'm just saying
all right,
it's 30 minutes, 30 seconds of this, and then relax.
I
30 seconds of
understand.
this. Hockey, you're sprinting, and then you're looking
No
for the guy on
argument.
the board, and then you're trying to find a little puck and then knocking it over.
Absolutely,
Baseball, I get to stand in a little box with my hands ready, with my knuckles ready, fingers out, make sure my knuckles are straight, and then time it for a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. Or here comes a curve. Yeah, that part is very hard. Every sport has its hard
absolutely,
part. Every
absolutely,
sport. Every sport.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
I will say there was a moment last night. I believe it was in the third period where Vegas was on a power play and they just scorched that puck and it hit Eichel basically in the face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were going on with the power play. Hey, we ain't stopping, right?
Nope. Nope.
And he had to kind of go to the side and kind of like shake it off. And then
Yeah.
he actually took a shot on goal. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, there we go, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then Edmonton, their goaltender got taken out, and he
Yeah,
got, then shortly after that's where the tying goal came. He could have called the whistle
he
and got
should have.
time.
He
He
should
should
have.
have. He
He
should
should have.
have,
They
but he
scored a
didn't.
goal 30 seconds later.
Hey,
Absolutely.
that guy don't want to lose the net. Let's get that straight. He sees his replacement sitting
No
there,
argument.
waiting to get back.
No
Come
argument.
on. Yeah.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
this is what Hill did for Vegas back in the day.
I
They had
so
four goalies going in, and then finally he locked in and went. He beat Edmonton and went on to win the cup.
so is who do you like? Do you think Edmonton's got this series wrapped up?
They might take it in five.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's get to motorsports. We usually do a little preview of the motorsports. F1 is taking the week off, and they are going next week to Italy. Tell me there's no pressure on Ferrari.
No, no pressure. No pressure here.
Nothing to
Hey,
see here, right?
the seats are red just in case the fans don't come in red. Come on.
Right, right.
Jiminy Crispies. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. And the bad boys of NASCAR are going to Kansas for the spring race.
Kansas. Yeah.
Kansas, Advent 400. What do you think about that race, Scott?
I see the 2311 team looking really stout. I could see Bubba or Reddick taking this win. I can see it happening. Um,
Okay.
this track is on talks of being like Atlanta and putting a restrictor plate on it.
Okay. Now explain this to me. And I'm going to be the ignorant average fan. Most of the models I saw, they compared it to Homestead.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're saying Atlanta might be a more accurate indicator of this track?
No, no. The
Oh,
similar track is Homestead with the degree banky, the D
okay.
shape oval, the asphalt. It is all similar to that. The
Okay.
thing is the speed that they're controlling the race cars at
Yes.
is why it's similar to Atlanta, where it's high and wide and everybody's just railing on the outside, keeping speed. They're
Yeah.
going to try to slow these cars down so it makes them start using the bottom and getting too wide.
Sure.
They're talking about it, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it isn't in talk. They, 2 or 3 years ago, they raced in Charlotte for the All Star race, and they actually slowed the cars down by 20 miles an hour, and it made some good racing at Charlotte finally.
Okay.
And nobody noticed how much slower they were going to. But guess what?
Right.
You give these guys a little time, they realize, hey, we can make up the speed in the turns, and that's where the downforce comes in.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? And they, instead of having back straight speed, they're getting the momentum in the turn and just being able to be wide open. So
Right.
they're trying to really slow down the straightaway speeds to make that more happening and get more side by side racing and make it trying to get views from fans again. You
Okay.
know, that's the bottom line,
That's the bottom line. I will say I watched obviously I got to get a life. I was watching a little of the Children's Shriners IndyCar in Alabama, and man, it wasn't really a competitive race. Everybody was 10 seconds ahead of each other. They were spaced out. It was kind of like Fontana back in the day for
yeah.
NASCAR. But
Hmm.
man, those cars, the thing I notice the most when I watch F1 and Indy versus NASCAR, the sound, the audio is so it resonates so much more than it does with NASCAR. It
Yeah, it's
makes you
the
feel more into it.
yeah, the exhaust system, the turbo system that's in India, it has that higher pitch sound that we're used to.
Right,
You
right.
know, it's we have basically a natural aspirated engine that is not pulling the air into the top of the engine as much.
Okay,
That's where F1 and Indy gets all their power from, is that they're actually pulling it down and getting that turbo to spin. That's where that audio is coming from.
okay, okay. Now for our race here in Kansas, we have Kyle Larson as the favorite at 400. Blaney is second choice 700. Byron is third choice at 800. Um, I'm going to just say that Larson won last year in the spring. He was 26th in the fall. Blaney, he seems to be a guy who's really good this year on mile and a half tracks.
Yep.
I don't know if Kansas is really the place though for him. He finished fourth last fall, which is not bad. Let me ask you this: because you're the guy. Is there a difference in the spring and the fall race there?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
totally.
right?
Yeah,
So,
the temperature difference is totally different.
right, right.
They're sliding more right now than they are in the fall race. I believe the fall race they have more grip.
Okay. So you like who do you like to win this race, Scott?
Oh man, for my long, I mean, you're stupid not to go against Kyle Larson, but Blaney is just finally getting stuff
Yeah, but at plus
going.
400, I know you got to
Yeah.
cash the chicken.
Hey,
I mean, it's
hey,
just come
yeah,
on.
yeah. Okay, I'm looking at Gibbs. I'm looking at
Oh, oh, you ain't messing around. You're
yeah.
28 to 1. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I like Gibbs and I like Bubba
Big
Wallace.
money.
Yeah, hey,
Okay.
yeah. Turn that $10 into 350, right, or whatever.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Wow. Big money, Scott. I'm going to tell you the guys I like. I like two guys. I like
Okay.
Bowman. I like Bowman for a top 10. Okay. He is 5 for 5
Yep.
in the last 5 races there for a top 10, not a win, a top 10. And with the next gen car. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people who are looking back at the history, I think Scott has brought this up really, really articulately. You have to look at what they're doing with the next gen car versus what they were doing 6 years ago.
Yep.
That's a big Denny Hamlin thing. Oh, Denny Hamlin's been great at this track for the last 10 years. Yeah, it was from 16 to 20. And then,
Yeah.
he did break through this year. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He found something, but the last 4 or 5 years, those stats didn't mean anything,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
And the
Yeah.
other guy, go ahead.
The Gen 7 car is, you got to be looking at the stats of the Gen 7 car, the Gen
Yes.
6 car. You know, that's the generation that we're at now. 7 6 is in now. You can't be looking way back where you were with fins and everything. Don't
Right.
forget we had
Batmobile.
the
Batmobile.
yeah, the
Yes.
Fast and the Furious with the big fin on the back. Don't
Yes.
forget that. They were trying to
Yeah.
figure that out.
Somehow they afford $100,000 car where they live in the barrio of LA. God bless
Right.
them. All
Right.
right. My pick to click this week is Ross Chastain. He's
Mm-hmm.
18 to 1. He
Like
won
them.
last fall. He was second last week in Texas. He does seem to be kind of peaking at the right time. It's a track he's familiar with, a track he's had success at. I understand Scott's absolutely right for anybody betting. Really look at the spring race. I mean, a lot
Yep.
of people are going to give you data from the fall race, and the atmospheric the weather conditions, the track conditions of being heated up versus not heated up are going to be incredibly different. But
Yep.
at 18-1, I'm going to take Ross Chastain and I'm going to take Alex Bowman for a top 10. You got any other thoughts on this race, kid?
Like I said, my three are Blaney for possibly the win, definitely top five. I see Ty Gibbs getting in the top 10 easily, and then Bubba Wallace. If he gets
Yeah.
locked in, he's going to go.
Yes.
Th- they know he needs the win. Reddick can point in, not a problem,
Right.
but he needs to get a win. And if you look at Texas and you see the D shape ovals, you're going to start seeing a repeat pattern of who's always up front.
Right.
You know, that's where we're at right now. So look at Texas, look at where we're at.
Let me ask you this.
Chastain's
Let me
right where
ask
you're
you.
talking.
Let
Yeah.
me ask you this. Right now, would you say Bubba Wallace is going to get a win this year?
Yes.
Okay. He is he's been incredibly solid.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Who is somebody that is off the radar that you think, look, the championship starts in basically 2.5 months, right? Who do you see who's kind of rounding into form that may be a threat down the road?
Osavar.
God, that's a great pick. Yes, Osabar, Gregson. I mean, God, I
But
can't even. I
I
can,
like Gregson a lot. I love that guy. He has great social media. He's funny as heck. He's a great driver.
okay,
But Hocevar just has speed, and if he just learns how to contain it, he's kind of like Ross Chastain that was a couple years ago. Ross
sure,
Chastain's kind of fallen in line, but he still acts like Logano and beats people up, and then goes, "Hey, it's
yeah,
racing." And then when you hit him, it's like, "Hey, you got to be a nice guy." You know what I
yeah,
mean?
because it's
He started,
me, because it's
and
me. Yes.
Hocevar still he's like the old Kyle Busch, where it was like, "I needed to get there, and you're in my way. I'm going to go through you."
All right. Let me
You
ask you
know.
this: is Kyle Busch going to get a win?
Oh God, I keep on wanting him to get a win. I
I
think
know, I know.
it's. I look
I,
at the short tracks and I look at these D-shaped ovals, and I think this is where those are where he's going to potentially get a win because that's where RCR shows up. His crew and himself have been getting in the way a lot. There is a crew chief out there that if they teamed up with him, he would probably excel at. But I don't know. I want to say he'll get a win, but God, last year just hurt. He was so close. Um, I look at Bristol and Dover, and I look at a road track, honestly, for him.
okay, can we just get a yes or no on that one, kid?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay,
sorry.
okay.
Hey, I thought I was on ESPN. My bad. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh my God, Daryl Waltrip just walked in the
Right?
booth.
Hey,
God
hey.
bless. Yeah,
Hey.
right?
I thought I danced around the question long enough, and then
You did.
I got timed out. I thought that's what would happen.
I just want to say, are you going to announce your run for presidency in 2028? Because that was a politician's answer, my friend. You got my vote. You got my vote. Even though we're not aligned, you got my vote. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Because then people will really like and subscribe our podcast. You
Right?
know,
Off the
I
rails.
I don't think Kyle Busch is going to win.
Huh?
I think it's like me and Emily Radikowski going out. I can hope for it all I want. I can see signs. I'm hanging out in West Hollywood, but still, it's not going to work. Okay,
All
sorry.
right. Hey,
All right,
hey,
we'll see.
hey,
I'd like
hey.
to. And look, he is. Where would you rank Kyle Busch in the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, Scott? Would you put
Top
him in the
top
top
five.
10? Oh,
Top
top
five.
five. Who would you put just off the? This is off the rails, so I'm coming at him without any
Yeah.
advance warning. Who would you say are your top five?
In NASCAR only,
Yeah.
it would be Earnhardt at the top,
Okay.
and then there would be Tony Stewart, and then there would be Kyle Larson, then Kyle Petty,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What?
then
Did
Jimmy
you just say
Johnson.
Carl? Did you just say Carl Larson?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I want you to call your family and literally call 911. Okay. First of all, you're going to tell me Kyle Larson over Richard Petty? I
Yeah.
mean, God. Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
God. This just
The
Cale
sport,
Yarborough. Cale
this
Yarborough.
you're talking about a sport that
Jeff Gordon.
was just, yeah, Jeff Gordon's up there definitely, but you're talking about a sport that was just in its infancy, and then he had a giant sponsor of STP. That guy had money. He
Yeah,
was able to move around and go places and spend money and get speed. That's why he won so many races. He's a great driver. But then when everybody started being equal to him, you started seeing him, flutter.
I
It's not
understand.
like when Dale Earnhardt started or Darrell Waltrip. They started not pushing the line as far as the young up and coming guys. You know,
Well, there is another thing that you're omitting, and you're absolutely right. Is back in the day, a lot of teams couldn't go to all the tracks.
yeah,
Right. And it was the guy who had the fully funded car who could go to whatever 32 tracks or whatever it was.
yeah,
He would get points.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
I
you're
mean,
still going to tell me you'd put Kyle Larson to get ahead of Jeff Gordon? Come on, man.
all right,
I
all
mean,
right.
we're off the rails, but we're not that loco.
Hey.
Hey, I'm just saying,
Th-
like and
th-
subscribe.
this
Come
guy,
on.
this guy's all about it. Hey, just saying.
I'm just, well, okay. Just tell me
You
yes or
th-
no.
you throw
Kyle
that guy,
Larson?
you throw that guy in any seat next to Jeff Gordon in Jeff Gordon's heyday, he's beating him.
Okay.
He ain't no Mark.
Four
He ain't
titles.
he
Four
ain't no Mark.
titles.
And he's still racing, kid. He can get three more, and he can rattle three more off. But this new style of racing, where Jimmy Johnson had to have rules remade because he was so good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I,
put it this
I
way.
mean,
Let's put it this
I
way.
would flip him with Jimmy Johnson then. Yeah, after saying that, yeah.
Boy, you just poking the bear here.
Hey,
Okay.
dude, you know
Okay. You know what? I'm going to say this.
this.
In NASCAR now, the greatest drivers, when history looks back on this,
Yeah.
will be Kyle Busch. I'm talking about guys who are running. I'm not saying guys who are going to win the title this year. In
Okay.
history, in historical context, you're
Yeah.
going to have Kyle Busch one.
Yep.
You're going to have Denny Hamlin number two, because
No.
that guy's resume is
No.
insane. Yeah,
No.
and you're going to have Kyle Larson number three. Let's see Kyle Larson win at Daytona. Okay, I'm just saying.
Let's see.
Just let's see it.
Let's
I'm
see
saying.
Danny Hamlin win a title. Jay has this thing about picking winners that don't win a title. Huh, Mark Martin?
Yeah, I do. I'm still going down that rabbit hole. I know he's coming back. Oh, you're the best, Scott. You're the best. All right, that's it. You got anything else to say before we adjourn, my friend? Anything on your
No.
mind?
No. Just make some long bets, man. Let's get some winners.
I'm going to tell you, everybody out there, next week we got the PGA Championship. Scott and I are probably going to talk about it on Wednesday. So tune in for that. We talk about Monday. We'll recap NASCAR. We'll talk about the hockey playoffs, the hardest trophy to win in sports.
That's right,
Wink, wink.
baby.
Yeah, I know. And then I'm going to finally ask you, are you going to see Thunderbolts this weekend?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's on
You
it.
are going to thoroughly enjoy it.
All right.
Thoroughly enjoy it. It's going to be, it's finally Marvel came back.
Ah.
Finally. Thank you,
Hey.
Lord.
Hey, you're allowed to foul some balls off, okay, guy? Okay.
You know, yeah, we'll talk about it after you see it. We'll talk about it. There's some
All right.
stuff. All right, that's it. If everybody out there, leave some comments. Okay, show some backbone. Be like Denny Hamlin. Be a winner.
Not a champion. Not a
Yeah,
champion.
not a champion, but just a winner. And like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon on Off the Rails.